Hi man, welcome back to the this this edition of Crime and Order. Today we're going to talk about something that I was not going to talk about it. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I have to now because there's a lot of clarifying issues that is going on. Okay. First of all, I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. My children, my grandchildren, are in an ISD, okay, which is an independent school district. Okay, now let me get this straight. Just because it's an independent school district, Texas State Board of Schools still has this thing over it. Okay, now there's a lot of rules and mandates at schools. Okay, now I've heard this and I shut up. I haven't said anything, but now I have to say something because the knife issue came out. Okay, I ran track, so this is where I'm going to come in handy. I ran track. I ran cross country. I never played football. But we would always compare each other's shoes and stuff. So I'll set the stage. So I'm going to set the stage so you kind of get an idea that I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's get on this idea that supposedly this cleat sharpener, a made-up fictitious device that doesn't exist. I'll explain. So I was in cross country. And I had to get some shoes. I had to get running shoes. I didn't have running shoes. So at our high school, we had what they call, we had what we called a day to 2 days. It was 2 days every 3 months. You go to the high school. And you work. Basically, they put you to work at the high school, you clean up, you do whatever, and what happens is you get a voucher for Nike. Okay, they don't just give you the voucher. You have to earn the voucher to go to Nike, which is understandable because the coaches were trying to teach us that nothing's free. You have to earn it, or you have to put in for it. You have to work for what you want. And that's what I was taught in high school. I was taught that in order for you to get something in life, you would have to work for it. And in return, you're going to get the voucher. I got 2 vouchers. Everybody got 2 vouchers. Except the football players, because no, they did. They got 2 vouchers because they weren't on the field all the time. And they need running shoes. So they gave them running shoes too. So the day of, they gave us the vouchers. My mom had what they call a Jeep Cherokee. If you're familiar with the Jeep Cherokee, they have 6 seats. They have 3 seats in. It's basically an SUV. The old Jeep Cherokee was a original, basically an SUV. So we all loaded up. Me, Randall, and Centauri. Now, Randall and Centauri are football players, and I'm a track. We live next to each other. So we're all friends. So we go to the Nike. And we go to Nike, and they give us we had our vouchers, and we were like, look, I'll set the stage for you. I think it was the second generation, or it's the first. Okay, hold on.
What's the matter with you, boy? You too stupid to do what your coach tells you?
So the original, listen to this, okay? I got to give this one to you so y'all know. The original Nike Air Force One debuted in 1982. As a revolutionary basketball shoe designed by Bruce Keeglor, it was temporarily discontinued in 1983, but reintroduced to the market in 86. Today, okay, so yeah. Y'all know that, right? So the original Air Force, yeah, y'all know Air Force One is. It's the Jordan. What's the Air Force One Jordans? Okay, I take that back. Okay, so I kept on thinking it was Air Force Ones. Forgive me on that. It's actually Air Jordans. It was 1985, so yeah, I was actually a freshman. So we went into the Nike, and they just put those Air Jordans out. So we were like, we've all were Googling over the Jordans, and our moms are like, all three of them come up to us and says, y'all know that you're looking for football and track shoes. That's what they told us. Anyways, so to get back onto it, let's just forget about all that. I just wanted to say that we were Googling over the shoes. And to be fair, my type didn't wear them for reasons. If you want to, put my type down and I'll explain that whole situation. I'll explain starter, I'll explain shoes, I'll explain all that. In a nutshell, I'll explain it. Okay. I'm not going to go there on that one. But so we went there and they showed us, we got the shoes. Randall and Centauri comes up to me and they're like, hey man, look at the spikes on these shoes. They're flat. They're kind of hard to explain. They're like they look like this. Oh no, they look like this. Okay. Now notice there's two versions. Here's a 1981. Okay, now here's a 2006 26 one. Notice the difference? You don't sharpen. Okay? All right. Now this is a 1980 spike shoe for cross country and track. Same shoe. This is the 2026 version of that same shoe. Now notice I put all Nike in there. Okay? They're all Nike, so you get an idea. That's what we saw in there. That's what we saw. Okay? So you know that what the fuck is a cleat sharpener? Well, you sharpen it. How in the heck are you going to sharpen that? Do you see how small the damn things are? Look, they're about this small. I'm sorry. They're about that small. They are rough to get in. With hands this big to get them things in there, is rough. Now, they do have a tool that comes with it to tighten that thing on there because you have to tighten it up. It's a tool. But trust me, you ain't going to get no stab moves off of that tool. It's just, it was a thing about, it was that long. Here's the tool to tie, what they call a cleat tightener. Not a sharpener, it's a cleat tightener. It's to tighten your cleats. Okay? So now we got that. All right. Now let's get into diagnostics of this whole situation. So now we got the track shoes and football shoes out of the way and cleat sharpener and how there's no such thing. How are you going to sharpen that with a cleat sharpener? You just don't sharpen those. You just take them out, put them, replace them. They're like, I think like this how much they are to replace. And there's like not even a bunch. Now, I'll get into the logistics. Type logistics and I can show you the shoes and we can talk about them. But that's not what we're talking about. So now let's get into the knife situation. So they said the knife is 5 inches long. Okay. Now, to be fair, a lot of y'all don't understand cop. A lot of y'all don't understand codes. So we're going to break this down to you. I got a video coming up. We're going to talk cop code. What all that stuff means. Okay? On another episode. CB Talk. We'll talk CB Talk on the next episode. Type in CB Talk if you want to know that. Okay, so now the situation about the knife. Okay, to be fair, in 50 states, every state has different laws and different rules. However, there's one rule that goes across all 50. You can't get in trouble with it. And this is that simple. And this is where the palm of your hand comes in. Now, no. I know what people are going to say. Well, there's different sizes. Think about a man's hand. A male cop's hand. Think about a male cop now. Get the female cop out of your head. If you want to know, I'll tell you. Get that out of your head because guess what? When I was growing up, there was no such thing as a female cop. Females didn't come on the force till later. And if there was a female cop, they were tough stuff and you didn't want to mess with them. So let's get into the knife situation. Okay, now, notice, I have a Klein tool. Okay, it's not Kamalo Anthony's knife, but it's going to work perfectly for what I want to talk about. Notice this knife has a button. Okay, now, watch. I push the button. The knife comes out open, and it locks in place. I can't move it without unlocking it. Look, I can't move it without unlocking it. I have to push the button to unlock the knife. Now, 99.9% of these knives have buttons on them. Some you can open, they don't have buttons. Some do. But the knife that he had a button.
What's the matter with you, boy? You too stupid to do what your coach tells you?
It's locked for a reason. The reason the lock is there, and some of them you have to push in here to get it to unlock to fold back up. So some don't have a button, but in order to get it to unlock, you have to push a button in here. I don't like that. I like this one because I can push the button on the outside, and I'm not afraid to get cut. See how smooth that is? It goes open and closed. Okay, now, all right? So that's another thing, all right? And we're going to get into that too. Your hand is a deadly force of weapon. Your hand is considered, you can be considered a deadly force of weapon. Lawyers can tell you all kinds of different shit, but these can be considered a dangerous force of weapon already. Because you can beat somebody up with your hands. You could be, people say, well, you got to be a boxer, nothing. No. On the flip side, you can. But we're going to use our hand in a different situation. Put your hand out like this. You take your knife like this, and you put it in the palm of your hand. See where that knife is? This knife is 3.5 inches. Okay? 3.5 inches. My hand is 4 inches. 4 inches. All right? Listen to me. The rules, I don't care what people say, well, it just says 5 inches. No. I'm going to tell you from state to state that this is your safest bet. If you cannot put this knife in the palm of your hand like this, and it fit in your hand, don't buy the knife. Leave it on the shelf. In the long run, just leave it on the shelf. You don't need that big of a knife. If you're hunting, have a fixed blade tied to your leg. That's legal. We're not hunting. What are you hunting for? Well, you need a big knife for 5 inches long. Okay? Now look, it fits in your palm of your hand, okay? All right? Now, let me explain this to you. See how long this knife is? They said it went in 3 inches. So his knife is 5 inches long. Now, how they measure a knife is the important part. To measure a knife, they don't measure from this end to this end of the knife. They measure from this end of the knife to this end of the knife. No, that's not where they measure. They measure from where the knife starts after it hits here to the end of the knife here. Okay. They measure from, and not where it folds. See where it folds in? They don't measure that part. That's what they call the burn part. They measure from this part right here where it butts against here to the edge of the knife. That is how long your knife is to a cop. From this part to here, that's how long your knife is. Not the whole knife, the blade of the knife. From this part to here. Okay, now, pocket knives like this are legal in 50 states. Okay, the reason they're legal in 50 states is because they can do this. Did you see that? Let me show you that again. The reason these are legal is because of this little thing right here. I can put this in my pocket. I can keep this in my pocket. Put knife safety in there and I'll talk about knife safety. You know what? Let's do a knife safety. Fuck all this other stuff. Okay, so let me close the video. So knife safety. I wanted to say this. Right here at this point, this is the school rules in Frisco ISD. This is actually the school rules in Frisco ISD right here. Okay? So you determine if I didn't go into anything. You determine if he should have had the knife or not. That's up to you. Your determination. Should he brought a knife to a fist fight? Why did he disobey his coach's rules? Because his coach said he should have been on the field warming up. That's what the coach said. Okay? In his words, they asked the coach. The coach did take the stand. It wasn't a teacher. The coach took the stand on Kamala's defense and told him he should have been on the field. Look. I feel for both parents' lives because it would suck if I was a parent and had to lose my son to either A, prison, or B, unaliving. This isn't about who's right or who's wrong. This is about knowledge of law. That's what this channel's about. This is about crime and order. To see where we can come to agree as people. At the end of the day, when I cut my finger, what color do I bleed? I bleed red. I'm a red-blooded American. And that's it. I want y'all to know this. The last time I checked, the last time I was in the Boy Scouts, the last time I was in the Boy Scouts, and we did the national day where we would go to do have it do what they call is basically what happened is they set up a stage with a bunch of people and make a big wreck, make like this chaotic like airplanes falling down out of the sky, buses, cars flipped over upside down. And how would you treat somebody in a trauma? And each person has a card on them, and you'd have to go up and read the card, and you would have to diagnose on how to treat that person. You would treat that person, take them over to the tent with what you had, take them over to the tent, and then if you diagnose that person correctly and did the correct one, you get an A. You get a point. And then you had to go out and do a bunch of people. There was not your, it wasn't just your, how would I say it? It wasn't just yours. It was, we were 77, local 88. So it could have been local 18, which is I was a part of Troop 18 till I went to Troop 88. So, yeah. Columbia Basin Troop. Columbia Basin Boy Scouts of America. That's what I was. Yeah, and I was a Cub Scout too. And I'll get into that if you want that one too. On how I made my process of going over. But anyway, I did not want to make this video to curse either side. What I wanted you to do is I wanted you to take an acknowledgement about certain things that were mentioned on the internet all crazily, and they don't know half the stuff they're talking about because they never done half the stuff. Well, I happen to be, I lived in a ghetto. One. That's one. I was the minority in my school. That's two. We didn't see color in school. They never seen me as a white boy. I never seen him as a, as a black boy. I never seen that. We never saw that. We never saw color. And I went to an all-black school. And you tell me I saw color? No, they didn't see me as a white boy. They saw me as one of theirs. I ran track. I ran cross country. I wrestled on the wrestling team. I did it all in high school. I had to wear the bag to make weight in wrestling. Yeah, I had to. I had to pull my weight. And if I lost, nobody said anything about me losing. They would say, hey, man, you'll get them next time, man. You'll get them next time. And they would pump you up and they would rock you on. And when you went to practice, they would pump you up and say, you'll get them next time, man. You'll get them next time. You go to next time. I won one match out of all 2 years of wrestling. I did. But you know what? They never gave up on me. Matter of fact, my best friend, Bobby Denise, kept on telling me, you'll get them next time, man. You'll get them. And when I won, oh my God, the coach cried. Yeah. And he's a black American. And he cried for his little white boy that won. So don't get on this race shit, man. Get off it. Get off the race bus. I don't know why all of a sudden is two people lost their lives. Two people lost their lives to this beautiful state of Texas. One lost his life because of not thinking everything through. And as teenage boys do, what do we do best? We don't listen. And if somebody tells us not to do something, guess what we're going to do? We're going to do opposite of what they say. And that, my friends, is the bad part about this situation. Okay? That's the bad part about this situation. Okay? We're not going to talk about anything else because we need to just mention that. Okay? So this is not about that. I wanted to talk about this today because I felt comfortable today knowing that. And this is Kamalo's knife that he used. Okay. That's his knife he used. And I said earlier it was a fold-out lock blade, a lock blade that you had to unlock. No, it's actually one of those flip ones where you can flip it with your finger, and it flips open. And you could tighten it and loosen it up so how fast you want to flip it open. Okay, so that is something. Yeah, it could be a speed flip. He can have it so you can just barely tap it; it'll flip open. And then once it flips open, you have to push that little button in to get it to close. And I hate them because that. But I want to say this. This is not anything. This is knowing what you're talking about before you get on and talk about it. Knowing what you're talking about. And I will say this before I close. Cleats aren't what you think they are. Now, this is actually the oldest cleat. These are different. Yeah, they do make cleats that big. But they're for like steeplechases and stuff like that. And if you want to get into that one, we can talk about it. But anyways, with this, I'm out.